The Friday Rugby Preview with Stuart Cameron.
Yes, we're back. Hello and welcome to the Friday Rugby Preview, looking at the Borders clubs in action tomorrow. Robin Purdy's with me, and it was December the 14th when we last had a weekend of club rugby, and it does seem, certainly for me, far too long. What's your own take on the season structure? Because, I mean, a lot of clubs have been saying December 21st and December the 28th could have been an option, particularly the 21st when other sports were taking place, and the weather was actually pretty good on those 2 days.
It was, yeah. I think everybody was ready for a wee bit of a break, myself included, dare I say, but I don't think anybody's seen it being as long as it was. And yeah, there's definitely merit in the argument for what was Saturday the 21st of December. I remember when I was young, there was certainly league rugby right up until Christmas, is my hazy recollection. So yeah, that could have been, there could have been rugby, I think, on that weekend. Players in particular will be ready for a break, and there'll be guys carrying knocks. But yeah, post New Year, it's just been unfortunate. 4th of January, possibly too soon to get back up and running. But yeah, it's just been unfortunate since then, to be honest, weather-wise. It
certainly was. Well, controversy last weekend, of course, with Ayr against Selkirk. The only game set to go ahead and then called off with 40 minutes to kick off. The rules of the competition say that if either the referee or one of the teams aren't happy to play, then it's called off. It's as simple as that. Selkirk weren't happy, Ayr were happy, but the match was off.
Yeah, it was. It's been a wee bit unfortunate, and these things always are amplified by comment sections on social media, etc., etc. So that always gets amplified a wee bit. I can see it from both sides. The very little tittle tattle that I've heard about it on the Jungle Drums is that Ayr understood that it was okay to play. Selkirk turned up and immediately weren't happy with it. I think front rowers in particular, and that's understandable. What I would say about Selkirk is they have absolutely nothing to be gained by it being called off. They were off down there, they got there anyway, they've paid to be down there.
They were up for it, certainly.
They were nigh on full strength from what I could see. They have nothing to gain from it not being on, so I would have thought they'd be desperate to play, get battle hardened when other teams didn't have a game, have a crack at Ayr, get the trip to Ayr, the hardest assignment in club rugby, out the way for the rest of the season. They have nothing to gain to have to go back down there. I can see the disappointment from Ayr's point of view as well. Hopefully they can shake hands, metaphorically speaking, and that'll be the end of it, and they'll play again later in the season, and there'll be no lasting ill feeling, hopefully.
Not the first time it's happened, of course. We remember famously 8 years ago at the Greenyards when it was Ayr, in fact, who pulled out. We've seen Stirling pull out at Gala. I think it was GHA pulled out at Selkirk. It's always the away team, certainly, because obviously a lot of effort goes in to get these games on if they possibly can, and obviously it's a disappointment when it doesn't work. But my own take on it was the fact that I was looking at the weather forecast, and we were looking at -9s, -7s, -5s leading up to Saturday. There was no way that we were going to get a thaw, and of course 3G pitches aren't all weather pitches. Just wonder that with all the hassle that we've seen on that particular fixture, the wasted travel arrangements, isn't it best just to say, look, come Thursday, let's call it off?
Yeah, I've said on this before, Stuart, gone are the days of waiting till after the 10 o'clock news till Michael Fish or whoever comes on to get a handle on what the weather might be like, and then 36 hours later it's completely different. You've pretty much got live info on your phone to the second. And yeah, there are some weekends you can tell on the Tuesday or Wednesday there's never going to rugby in a million years. So yeah, probably more can be done to ensure earlier in the piece that contact each other and say, look, this is not happening, we're going to reschedule it. Better for probably the players, takes away the uncertainty. Certainly better for fans who are sort of on tenterhooks. Are we going through Ayr on Saturday? Are we not going to Ayr? Can we make other plans? And that's not just Ayr, it's to wherever. It happened with Hawick and Currie last season at Millennium, and yeah, there probably has to be just a better system, if you like. You can see it from the home club's point of view, and of course it's not just the players and the head coach who has a say in the matter. There's a lunch on, or it's Farmers' Day, or it's Ladies' Day, and the till will be ringing and we'll make 10,000. So you can see why they want to get on and try it on, but maybe sometimes judgment gets clouded a wee bit. But there probably has to be something better than the current situation to ensure that what happened on Saturday doesn't happen again, because you're right, it's not the first time it happened, and probably until something gets done it will be the last.
Well, those games have been rescheduled, and we're now actually creeping into April, so we don't want to go too further into that, because we've got, particularly in the Premiership, you've got the playoffs as well to come.
Yeah, that's right, and
we know what happened last year.
Yeah, that's right, and there are standby weekends, etc., and that's what they're there for. This is Scotland, it is winter. There are always got to be instances, there have got to be weekends where there's games off, and there might be 2 or 3 weekends on the trot, and it's always going to be a thing, the weather, and it just has to be worked around.
OK, let's talk some rugby then, shall we? And refresh the memory as to what happened back in December the 14th. Let's have a look at the Premiership table then to start with. Ayr at the top with 61. Heriot's in second on 60. Watsonians in third place with 46. We've got Currie in fourth place at the moment. They're the vital top 4 positions, of course. They're on 42. And then in fifth, it's Melrose, who have 35. Selkirk in sixth, 32. Glasgow Hawks have 29. Hawick 28, then a gap to the bottom 4. Remember, 3 go down, so Edinburgh Accies being drawn in now. They're on 22, Kelso 21, Marr 20, and Musselburgh 15. And as we'll find out very, very shortly, the bottom 4 actually are playing each other this weekend, so it doesn't come any more dramatic than that. So let's go into the Premiership then, and the first game is actually happening tonight. It's Currie against Heriot's under the Millennium Park lights. The fourth against second, both going in cold after no rugby for a few weeks.
Yeah, good game. On the face of it, Currie have already given Watsonians a bloody nose at home. Watsonians being one of the ex-Super Series teams, of course, and it's a banana skin for Heriot's. On paper, at least, there's no two ways about it. But Heriot's have been impressive this season, as have Currie once they got their act together after the first 3 weeks. But Heriot's have almost quietly gone about their business, because we've spoke about, at times it seems like nothing but Ayr. So Heriot's are right there, they're right in the shake-up. They've got Ayr to play a couple of times, and the top 2 are vying for who's going to finish first and second, and essentially potentially get a home final as well as home semi-final. But it's a tough one to call this tonight. Currie can do a number on anybody on their own patch. Of course, Ayr, let's not forget, they beat Ayr on their own patch as well, so Heriot's will know the task in hand. But yeah, Heriot's to shade it potentially, but almost too tough to call. I think one thing about Currie, and we've mentioned it before, they've got quite a partisan crowd there that get behind them, and they've got a drum and they sing songs, and I really like that. I say good on them for that. So a decent occasion tonight. It'll, under the lights, I always think it adds something, and yeah, Heriot's will hopefully bring a few along as well, and it'll be a bit of a ding dong.
Glasgow Hawks versus Ayr tomorrow, and that's a 2 o'clock kickoff, the only 2 o'clock kickoff tomorrow in the Premiership. Hawks with home advantage, but Ayr obviously starting as favourites. Yeah,
Hawks are in that place mid-table where they don't want to get dragged into it, and it's hard to see them getting that dragged into it, but I don't see them winning tomorrow for them, unfortunately. Ayr have got a point to prove in theory, I guess, after last weekend. They'll be looking to lay down a marker after the break for the rest of the season. Yeah, I can see Ayr coming away with the spoils there. If Glasgow Hawks again pick up anything from that, then decent afternoon's work as far as they're concerned.
Well, our commentary match tomorrow is with Dale Clancy and David Ferguson at Poynder Park, both in the bottom 3, crucial for both. Bill McLaren's shield on the line as well. Let's hear from Kelso Director of Rugby, Neil Hinnigan.
Obviously it's a big game, relegation battle as it would be described, but obviously it's about performance as well, and we've been off for as long. Whoever finds their feet first will probably prevail in this one, so it's important we're well prepared and ready to hit the ground running. There's a few absentees with Robbie Tweedy and Nick Stingle, both unavailable. Jack Utterson is also with Scotland 20s, and Terry Logan will be out for the rest of the season. Angus McGregor has been struggling all week with flu, so it's unlikely he will play. We're also still without Alex Orr and Ashton Asante. So a few people out, but you do welcome back Andy Tate after being out since the first game of the season against Watsonians. So he got a few minutes under his belt against Hawick in a friendly over the Christmas, so he came through that okay, so that's a timely boost for us, especially when Nick's been away. So yeah, it's a big game for us at Poynder. We're expecting a big crowd, and it's one that we can hopefully take advantage of and potentially get us out the bottom three.
Kelso versus Marr. Of course, Marr went to Glasgow Hawks and got some points there. This is a real must-win, isn't it?
Oh, it's just about season-defining, Stuart. Let's be honest. We've spoken before from a Kelso perspective about the fact that they've got some of the teams in and around them at home in the second half of the season, and this is one of these, one of those games. There's no two ways about it. It's a must-win game for both of those teams. Kelso will be absolutely desperate. They're away to Ayr next week, and then they've got Melrose at home and Edinburgh Accies away. Marr, on the other hand, after this tomorrow, Currie at home, Ayr away, Watsonians at home. There's potentially not that many points on offer there. Context of tomorrow, what's coming down the track thereafter makes it even bigger almost. You want to be getting points on the board on the back of a fairly lengthy break. It's just huge there tomorrow. It's absolutely huge. Kelso, 3 front rowers missing, Terry Logan, McGregor and Asante. That's not going to help.
Logan out the whole season.
Yeah, that's a blow. I really like him as a player. He trucks it hard, he smashes boys, he holds the scrum up as well. Jack Utterson out as well, through merit. Scotland under 20s, I've heard it said that he's been their best player this season, and I've certainly been impressed with him when I've seen him. But Andy Tate being back, that's huge. I think Kelso have missed him monumentally this season, and I think, I'm not saying Kelso have slumped from last season, but or one of the contributing factors to the situation that they're in is the fact that he's been injured, and him being back is massive. He brings a calmness to proceedings.
So that is a massive game. Another massive game for the same reasons. Musselburgh at home to Edinburgh Accies. Now, both need the points in this one as well. If Accies don't win, they'll be dragged deeper into relegation territory, could even be dropping into the 3. A Musselburgh win, and that kick-starts their challenge to stay up. So plenty at stake there, and certainly from a Kelso and a Marr perspective, they'd probably want Musselburgh to win.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. It's must win for Musselburgh. They probably have, lots of them are from here on in. I would imagine Kelso and Marr, yeah, they will, but Accies have been dragged right into it in recent times. They really, really, really could do with the result as well. So the 4 of them playing each other at the bottom, it's a massive weekend in the context of the relegation battle this season, and remain to be seen who comes out on top there. I'd fancy Accies to shade it, but Musselburgh will be so bang up for it, and if they've got the likes of Big Badenhorst, etc., then they're going to be a big old challenge, and they've picked up a wee bit in recent games as well. So yeah, tough one to call against you.
Well, Selkirk versus Melrose, a border derby at Philip Hogg. Selkirk won at the Green Yards. We can hear the thoughts of both coaches now. Scott Wight from Melrose and first Selkirk boss, Sesh Henderson.
For this week's game, just another massive game for us against Melrose at home. There's no changes to the squad at all. Ross Nixon's still out with concussion, so real disappointed after last week's game being cancelled. So just a shift and refocus on our mind at training this week, just to forget about that. We'll worry about that fixture when it's played again. A date comes up, but now is just the biggest game of the season against Melrose on Saturday, and we trained really well on Tuesday and focus on some areas that in attack and defence that we think will apply a lot of pressure and make force errors onto Melrose. So it's just every game is bigger than the next and the one before. So we're just hoping to then get back into that fight again, and not play for 5 weeks is not an excuse. It's the same for both sides, and go out there and put an accurate and dynamic performance in that will hopefully get us over the line, get the points. But we know we're going to have to fight for every inch of that ground on Saturday, even though we're at home. And if we've got to get anything out of that game, because Melrose are a good side, they like to throw the ball about. Alan Ferry is a good ball carrier for them, so we need to close all their spaces down and make sure we can apply as much pressure to them as possible. And when we've got the ball, just attack at pace, and and we have to throw the ball about as well. So I think it's going to be a good match up to both sides. But it's a case that under pressure, make sure we execute our skills and making really good decisions in these tight border games. So a lot to play for. Looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah, 5 weeks, as you say, probably quite fortunate that we had Gala on Boxing Day, which allowed 25 boys to get a run around, which is great. Last week obviously came as a bit of a shocker with the weather, no rugby, so prep was slightly different in terms of what we were able to do and what we weren't able to do. I dare say probably the only positive is out of the 5 weeks, it gives your injured boys another week to recover and get them back up to speed in terms of where we are. So, guys like Finlay Sinclair, Craig Fairbairn, Ben McLean, Dougie Crawford, they're all available for selection this week. Scotty Clark's back in the mix. So we've got 4 or 5 boys back from injury. I dare say the 2 kind of notable absentees from Saturday will be Will Owen and Bruce Colvin. They're both unavailable. But look, exciting squad. Still to finalise a few things in terms of who goes where. But look, boys are hugely excited about the opportunity to start 2025 with a bang. And what better way to do it than a border derby? Selkirk have been going really well this year. We're well aware of that. Obviously, they clipped their wings essentially at the Green Yards late on, and that's been spoke about kind of a few times this week, just in terms of the reminder of that feeling at the Green Yards on that day. So, look, boys are desperate to kind of right that wrong. Poor performance, and that essentially keeps us above Selkirk. Their position behind us in the league. So, we've got our own kind of tasks to tick off in terms of our own goals that we'd like to achieve in 2025, and Saturday's hopefully a big step forward. So yeah, as I say, a few things to kind of tidy up, but majority of the squad fit, a few boys back from injury, which is really exciting, and boys are buzzing for it. So look, we're really looking forward to it, and the challenge that Selkirk will create as they did at the Green Yards.
Right, I've got some very bad news for Scott Wight. You're going to the game.
Yes,
explain.
As far as I'm aware, I've seen Selkirk 5 times in the flesh this season, and they've won on every occasion. One of which was in the reverse fixture a few months ago at the Green Yards. So yeah, whether I'm some kind of lucky charm, that will remain to be seen after tomorrow. But no, I've been impressed by both these teams this season. To be honest, Melrose have surpassed expectations for me.
And you certainly felt that Melrose should have won that game at the Green Yards.
Oh, it was there for the taking. But Selkirk could lay claims to that as well from memory. Tomorrow, I can see the victors being whoever comes out on top in the forward battle, particularly Runciman and Al Ferry against Corey Tate and Jack Fisher. That's
mouth-watering.
That is mouth-watering for me. Those are 4 out-and-out Super Series players, and whoever, they love to carry, they love to hit hard, they love to get in the face of opposition. So yeah, that's a very, very interesting subplot tomorrow, and whoever prevails there, will probably see their team win the game. And I see this game, Stuart, being more about a battle for the playoffs than it is about relegation. They're both mid-table. In terms of the playoff battle, whoever doesn't win is probably, in all reality, out of the playoff shake-up. But both these clubs safe, both surpassed expectations for me this season. I'm looking forward to a good game tomorrow.
Because Selkirk have that game in hand. They're 3 points behind Melrose at the moment, so they could actually go above Melrose and still have that game in hand on Melrose. So from Melrose's point of view, they really have to get points on this one.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Like saying the battle of the playoffs, and yeah, Selkirk, they become the Border's top dogs potentially if they win tomorrow. And if you'd said to me as we, at the start of the season, as we approach February, Selkirk are going to be the highest placed Border team in the Premiership, Hawick and Kelso after last season, and Melrose coming off the back of Super 6, I'd have laughed at that, but that's to their credit, they've been absolutely outstanding.
Watsonians against Hawick. Marr side has been breached twice this season. Ayr and Kelso beat them, of course, as well. Kelso did the double over Watsonians. So can Hawick do the trick as well? Here's Green's head coach, Graham Hogg.
It's great to be back speaking about rugby after 5 weeks off over the Christmas period, and obviously the postponed fixtures that have been in amongst there as well. As a group of coaches, we made the conscious decision to give our boys a fair bit of downtime over this Christmas period. A lot of our boys have had 80-minute shifts over that first part of the season, just obviously due to injuries and such like. So it was good to refresh the bodies and minds. Obviously, we did do some sessions over that period, and boys worked pretty hard when we were in. But as I say, it was great to be able to fully recover, and boys are raring to go now. They were obviously champing at the bit last week to get our season back up and running with a televised game on the Friday night against Currie. The frost put paid to that, so all sort of roads lead to what we're doing this week against Watsonians at Marr side. We're looking to pick from nearly a full squad. We've only got a couple of injuries, which is probably the first time I've been able to say that this season. Unfortunately, our talisman Jay Linton is still going to be out with a slight knee injury, which is progressing. We're hoping to have him back in the coming weeks. Apart from that, we're looking to pick from a full squad, which is excellent. Really looking forward to Marcus Brogan coming back into the fold. He's not played since the first game of the season against Edinburgh Accies, and he's been really good in training over this last few weeks. We're excited to what he can bring to the boys. Obviously a Scotland under-20 international less than 2 seasons ago, so we're really looking forward to what he'll bring. Logan Henry will be back from his Christmas period in New Zealand, so he's obviously going to be refreshed as well and ready to go, and we look forward to the challenge of Watsonians on Saturday.
Still no Jay Linton, which is sad to hear, but he's on his way.
Yeah, he seems to be on his way back, and that's it's a blow for any team, not just for Hawick. He's a proven operator. Of course, he's been the player of the season across all teams, probably on more than one occasion in the last 2 or 3 years. But good to hear that Brogan's coming back. He's had such a bad run with injuries, and he's a good young player, and he'll be looking for a run of games to cement his place now. And you're right, Myersted has been breached a couple of times now, so that'll give Hawick heart. Hawick not as strong, of course, squad wise as they were last season, but yeah, they can go there. Wee bit of a free hit, not quite the free hit of going to Heriot's and Ayr these days. That there are points there on the table at Myerside, but yeah, I think if Hawick can come away with a couple of points, I think that'll be a reasonable afternoon's work. And just looking at the table, Stuart, as I was kind of doing at lunch, almost getting my head back in it at lunchtime there, and Hawick on 28 points now. If Accies win at Musselburgh tomorrow, and Kelso beat Marr, for example, and Hawick don't pick up anything, then Hawick are getting pretty close to being in it, which is almost nigh on unthinkable. So
they do have that one game in hand, which could be useful.
Yeah, that's well worth noting, of course. But yeah, Hawick just got something to think about in the coming weeks. But yeah, a win tomorrow would do no harm at all.
And the fact that it's 5 weeks off for everybody, really, it's who's going to get the rustiness away first.
Aye, that's it. There's going to be a lot of rustiness. I would imagine, how much of a bonus will the likes of the Waverley Cup game be for both, Melrose and Gala. Kelso had a hit out against Alnwick. I'm sure some of the teams will have been playing, behind closed door stuff, or the odd friendly here or there that I've not heard about. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of that tomorrow. Who's looked after themselves the best over the festive period, who's trained well, who's done what. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting subplot again.
So lots of intrigue in the Premiership tomorrow. Let's have a look at National 1 and refresh your memory. Go back 5 weeks. This is how the table looks like. GHA at the top with 60 points. 1 game more played than Stirling County, who are in second with 51. Glasgow Accies also have 51, having played 1 more than Stirling. Gala in fourth, 37. Jed-Forest in fifth with 30. Biggar 29, Highland 25, Peebles 23, Boroughmuir 21, and Dundee adrift at the bottom with just 11. Now the bottom 5 teams have all played 12 games. Let's go straight in with the first game, which is Biggar against Gala. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff. Hartreymil, a very hard place to get a result. Can Gala get an away win there? Here's their Director of Rugby, Euan Swinton.
Gala are really looking forward to getting back onto the pitch on Saturday up at Hartreymil against Biggar. This game is going to be a toughie, but we've come off quite a good performance against Melrose. We're never going to be satisfied with a game where we lose, but we did have a lot of boys putting bodies on the line and got a really good workout in the midst of this lengthy break, as it has been for some. So we'll head up to Hartreymil full of confidence. We will be playing with a replacement standoff for Harris Rutherford, who is headed off back to San Diego. We have a number of options on the table, which will include Scott Peppers, who is a very experienced player, possibly returning to the fray. But we have other options to bring the backs into play. We're going really well in the forwards, and I think that some of our young lads are reaching a stage of maturity where they're moving on from being young, good players, guys like Fraser Wilson, who's so benefited from a season at Hawick and is now really coming into his own and breaching strongly. We've got good back row options, and Tim McCavanagh can join in that big hitting scene, whether he comes off the bench or starts, that remains to be seen. But we've got real muscle in the forwards and hope to get a good supply of ball to the backs and see the backs operating really well. We've got pace, we've got power out there, we've got good tacklers. There is nothing for us to fear in going up to Hartree Mill. We've got the utmost respect for Biggar. We always have a tough game against them. We're in need of one result to, I think, fairly well secure our place in National 1 for next season. I know that you guys slightly disagree with that, but I think we need a few more points to be sure. So I can see no better place for us to go and get that than Hartree Mill. We'll go up there confident, strong and ready for a battle, and looking forward to getting a really good game to start the year off well.
Yeah, Mr. Positivity, not quite as positive there as we are that Gala actually have enough points at the moment.
And you can absolutely understand why that is the narrative. Of course, I'll respectfully disagree with you, and I think Gala are safe. And I think the fact that I'm saying that with still 5 games to go in this division of all divisions, that is a massive compliment to Gala. They again have probably surpassed the expectation. I didn't see them being relegated, but I didn't necessarily see them having the cigars out, so to speak, with this amount of games to go. So yeah, they've been really good in recent weeks. Got a draw last time out, and it's Hartree Mill in January.
We went there, didn't we? We had an unexpected visit.
That's right, and it was it was when we were en route to
Currie
for the called off game last season, and we hot footed it over to this exact fixture, and my word, it was cold.
It was chilly, wasn't it? Yeah.
And so there will be that factor. Of course, it's a very, very tough place to go at the best of times. And if Gala can win here, then it's a brilliant result. They've got Boroughmuir at home next out, and then they've got the big 3, so to speak, the last 3 games of the season. So they don't want to lose their next 2 games and kind of get drawn back into a wee bit. But I think they're safe, Stuart, to be honest, and that's to their credit. Rutherford out, of course, that's him done for the season. He's off back to America. That's a blow. He's probably, off the top of my head, as good a player as anybody in the division on his day. So, but Ewan's right. Gala forward's been going great guns, and they'll be looking for at least parity there tomorrow.
Dundee against Jed-Forest, probably last chance saloon for Dundee, but for Jed, with some tough games to come, this is one that they really have to get at least 4 points from to stay fairly safe. Here's what Jed head coach Stuart Johnson has to say.
After a good 4 weeks off over Christmas, obviously we've got a difficult task of going up to Dundee to get a result. Dundee we know are going to be a difficult side. They went about 19 points up against Stirling early on in that game. Eventually lost it to Stirling, but they have got the ability to be able to do that to teams, and we're well aware of that. We're also well aware that we need to go up there and we need to get 5 points. We're still involved in that bottom 7 in the league. To be fair, anybody in that bottom 7 can still go into the bottom 3 and go down. So we're well aware this is a massive game for us. Good news is that the only injury list that we have at the moment is Robbie Duff, who I'm glad to say is progressing really well, and Logan Kerr's had a shoulder operation. Hoping Gregor Young's going to be back, which is a massive boost for us if he's back this weekend, but if not this weekend, hoping next weekend. So he's huge for us in the midfield. Everyone else is fit, so Big Jack Taylor's fit at tight heads. Ben Howe's back from New Zealand. It gives us some really difficult choices in terms of selection this week, and we're not quite there yet. Now, good news is we've got a headache in our hands in terms of selection. Obviously, that means we're going into this Dundee game near enough full strength, which is big for us as well. So we just need to get our game right, and look, it's massive for us to go up there and get a result, and that'll hopefully put us a lot clearer in terms of that bottom 3. And then obviously we'll move our attention to the following week, which is Peebles at home, which is another huge game. And look, we've been pretty clear with the guys. If we can get a result this week and next week, all results go as expected over those 2 weeks, we should be clear of the relegation. So big 2 weeks for the club, but it's hugely positive that we've got pretty much everybody back fit for this weekend. So we'll see how we go come 4 o'clock on Saturday.
He certainly sounds very confident, and rightly so, but let's not forget Peebles went to Dundee and lost. Dundee, only win of the season so far.
Yeah, and it's never going to be an easy place to go, Dundee. It never has been, in all the years I've followed rugby. So yeah, but Jed are in pretty good fettle. They had a good last few weeks to the first half of the season. If you like, they got some points on the board that they maybe wouldn't have expected to get. So like I say, head into this in good fettle. Stuart's right. If they can come away with this with 4 points, maybe 5, and the result goes their way next weekend, then they again are going to be safe. But yeah, they Jed, you mentioned it before, Jed, after next weekend, I've got some tough fixtures. Glasgow Accies away, Boroughmuir away, and Stirling away, if I've got that right. So yeah, they don't want to be going into the last 3 games relying on that much. But yeah, I see Jed coming away with points tomorrow.
Glasgow Accies against Highland, and Accies win at home seems likely, but Highland know that they need the points as well.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be easy for Highland, but they're better travellers than they used to be. It's a real dogfight. Biggar just about clear of it at the moment, but you touched upon it before. The bottom 5 teams have all got a game in hand over the teams above them, so fancy Glasgow Accies to win that one tomorrow. But again, Highland will just be looking for what they can get from that.
Boroughmuir versus Stirling County. Now, Boroughmuir, a team that have been improving over the weeks. They've been putting in some pretty good performances against big sides as well. Stirling have had their wobbles a couple of times as well, but this one's at Meggetland.
Yeah, and I think for Boroughmuir, it's a case of what personnel have they got out on the park? Is the likes of Edmonds playing, etc. Because he's gonna provide any defence with a headache, let's be honest. So yeah, Boroughmuir have just been a bit better in recent times. Had a really slow start to the season, and Stirling have proven that they can be got at. So of course Stirling need 5 pointers from here on in pretty much to secure that one promotion spot. So yeah, desperation stakes for both these teams.
Peebles against GHA. Peebles nearly shocked to unbeaten GHA away from home. Now they play them at the Guides. Peebles' man in charge is Graham Patterson.
It feels a bit like almost a new start to a season. Looking ahead to this Saturday and the game against GHA, it seems ages ago since we played Gala on the 14th of December, but it is what it is, and we've got to move on and just be focused on the job ahead of us rather than looking behind. Although, you look at the fixture on paper and it's the top team, the unbeaten team, against a team that's in the relegation battle. However, we were kind of in that same scenario when we played them up at Braidholm earlier on in the season and pushed them all the way. They just edged it 24-20 with a late try, but we certainly gave them a scare, I felt, and showed what we can do if we apply ourselves. But again, it's coming down to that 80-minute performance. We need to really smother them in our energy and commitment to our cause, and the cause is obviously maintaining National 1 status, and this game is a step along that way in that journey. I still feel that we can beat them if we put together a good game plan and a performance. We will win games, and we will win enough games to keep us in this league. And the guys are very much focused on that task. We have a fair idea of the number of games that we need to win. Some will say this is a bit of a free hit, but I don't see it as that. I see it as an opportunity to go out there and collect as many points as possible. 4 would be great, 5 would be fantastic, 2 would be good, 1 would be okay. And that's how you've just got to approach it. We've got to get something out of the game and then grade it accordingly as you see the result at the end of the game. I know that it's going to be difficult. We know it's going to be difficult. The players know. We've come up with a fairly simple game plan in terms of what we're going to go out on Saturday and do, and it's quite simply be quicker and sharper than them, and that's how you beat teams. I think at this level it's not about putting too much detail in it, too much thinking and overthinking things and coming up with complicated moves, and a lot of it comes down to just physicality and speed. They're going to be defending against us, they're going to be attacking against us, so we know it's 15 against 15, and that's it in a nutshell. Selection wise, a couple of changes. Ollie Furness, our young 18-year-old, is heading away to South Africa on the McPhail scholarship, which is a fantastic opportunity for him, and he goes with our best wishes and good luck to Ollie. It's a great chance for him to go out and broaden his career in terms of the rugby, and also opportunities in terms of life as well, and just experiencing that different culture and different environment. So he's now unavailable to us as he heads away to South Africa. So Cammy Pye comes into second row for him. We're starting this week with Roo Smith at tight head, John Gray at loose head, and Matty Carrier at hooker. Ross Brown partners Cammy in the second row. In our back row, Finlay Collins, Robert Harrison and Ewan Hunter gives a real blend, we think, of physicality, work rate and speed. Backline fairly settled. Jack Harrison the captain at 9, Rory McCaffey at 10, Stevie Hamilton and James Dow in the centres, with Davy Collins, Buster Davidson on the wings, and Donald Anderson marshalling things from the backfield at 15. Ron McKeever and Jay Coltman come onto the bench, a good addition as well, and really pleasing to see Frey McKeever as the back sub, having been out for a significant period of time with a long-term ACL injury. So great to see him. He's ploughed his way back through that rehab process and got himself in a position to be back in the field. So great to see him back and hopefully make an impact off the bench on Saturday in a positive manner. So really looking forward to getting back to a competitive game. We had a good training session on Tuesday night with Biggar, sharpen the tools ready for Saturday. A big task, but one that we're ready to grasp with both hands.
Quite a lot of fighting talk there, a lot of confidence going in, and certainly if you can put that into his players, then that's got to be a positive.
Oh, definitely, and that's the one thing about Peebles. They'll never throw in the towel. They'll battle till the day is done, and they're going to need to battle against the unbeaten league leaders. It's a very, very tough assignment. But I liked what he said there about if we win 5 points, obviously it's utopia. But he's aware of the fact that if they come away with anything from this game, that's a good result. If they can come away from anything, and Gala can do them a favour, and Glasgow Accies can do them a favour, then that's a massive weekend. If they don't, and Gala and Glasgow Accies get beat by Highland and Biggar, then Peebles have got a wee bit of a problem on their hands potentially. They've got some tricky games as well. Glasgow Accies away, Boroughmuir away, Highland away, all to come, Jed away as well. Tomorrow's one of their only 2 remaining home games. The other one's Dundee, if I've got that right. So yeah, they could do with getting something tomorrow, but you're never going to sit here and say you fancy them for 5 points, because they're playing the top of the table team. And points are hard to come by. Oh, they are. Points are indeed hard to come by, but they'll take great heart from the fact that they picked up points in the reverse fixture. And you mentioned, of course, Ollie Furness, and our own congratulations to the young lads. That is fantastic. A lot of players that have gone on to big things for the John McPhail scholarship, and it's a wonderful thing for not just Ollie but the other 2 guys, of course, from Scotland as well, who will benefit greatly from that. Oh, massively. You can't really get throw yourself into a better rugby environment in South Africa at the moment of all times. And you're right, some of the players that have come through that, Finn Russell and John Barclay to name but 2. So yeah, massive opportunity to the kid. Well done, and it's a great result for Peebles' wonderful youth system. Let's look at National 2 then. Interesting this, because bottom of the table is minus 37. You compare that with bottom of the table in the Premiership, minus 335. And that kind of shows you how tight this division is. 9 teams in it. Gordonians at the top, 39 points for them, played 9. Stumel in second on 38. GHK 33. Kirkcaldy 31. Falkirk 25. Lasswade 18. And now it gets interesting. 2 go down in this division. Berwick are in 7th place on 17, Preston Lodge 16 and Newton Stewart 16. The first match we're going to talk about is Berwick against Newton Stewart. Berwick have struggled this season in terms of results, but they did win away at Newton Stewart, so a chance to do the double on them. Here's head coach at Scremiston, Paul Pringle.
Very important game for both teams. I appreciate it's a long old slog for them coming through, and we would certainly be hoping to catch them cold. I mean, it feels like it's been a long time for both teams since we've played any kind of league rugby. We were at the end of November, and I think actually Newton Stewart were the start of November. So appreciate there's going to be a certain amount of rustiness there, but yeah, we would like to think that the work the guys have put in over the Christmas period, which has been fantastic, would really help us just kick on in this second half of the season. So definitely looking forward to it. In terms of the team selection this week, so Ryan Wilson will be moving up into hooker from number 8, and that'll just allow Ali Grieve to come in at number 8. Duncan Hardy will be moving from the centre into 7. Duncan's just far too good a player to not be in the team, and actually, we have been working on him in terms of moving into the back row, and it's something I'm really excited about. I think he'll do a great job in there. He's great over the ball. He's a good tackler. Runs those gamble lines really hard. So I'll be very intrigued to see how that goes, and that then also accommodates the return of the centre partnership of Rory Hindhoff and James Thompson, which are so key for us. Jack Williamson, he'll move on to the bench to accommodate that, and it's unfortunate for Jack. He's been playing really well, but we just wanted to just kind of slightly amend our pack to tailor it to the game that we're expecting. It's Newton Stewart. Newton Stewart play good rugby. They're strong around the breakdown. They're strong in the carry. But for me, the real danger is that kind of from open play. So any kind of kick which is not finding grass and gives them a bit of time. Their wingers and certainly their fullback, they're very dangerous. So we need to just have a really mobile pack, one that can get around. And again, that's probably led to being a little bit unfortunate for Carl Gullen, who's had a lot of good appearances for us this season. So Carl will go down into the 2s, who've got a game against Selkirk, and get a lot of minutes under his belt in that. So that'll just continue to help his development. But all in all, we're really happy with the squad selection that we've been able to make this week. And just dead keen just to get a good game of league rugby on, and we would hopefully get the right result.
Well, if you'd offered me odds that Berwick and Newton Stewart would be in the bottom 3 at this stage, I would have laughed at you.
Oh yeah, I'm particularly surprised at Newton Stewart, but bottom of the pile. To be honest, some of the players that they have, I've not heard too much about them this season. The likes of McCormick was wonderful for Glasgow in the inner district. He looks a Premiership player all day long, so I don't know if he's been injured or whatever, but Berwick will need to keep an eye on him tomorrow if he's fit and available. But massive game, humongous game, Stuart, for both these teams. Of course, you're right, Berwick won through there earlier in the season. Berwick away to Gordonians next, and they've got Kirkcaldy away and Lass Wade away. There's some huge games coming up in what looks like a 4-2 situation at the bottom. I love the irony there of what Paul said. I appreciates that Newton Stewart have got a long old slog of a journey now. Paul, I can assure you don't need to have sympathy for anybody when it comes to distance travelled. And that's part of the problem, I guess, for the Berwicks and for the Newton Stewarts. It's to their internal credit that they front up every single week and they jump on the buses at what often will be silly o'clock on the morning and make their way to tricky away assignments. And it's going to be blood and thunder down there tomorrow. Berwick to shade it, and they need to shade it. Let's be honest.
Falkirk against Preston Lodge. Again, we were thinking Falkirk and Preston Lodge were promotion contenders. I mean, that could still happen, but certainly that's one at Sunnyside that is not going to be for the faint-hearted.
Yeah, I think Falkirk are too cut adrift. I don't think they're going to get dragged into the 2 at the bottom. They're 9 points clear of that. But I don't see them catching the likes of Gordonians and Stu Mel at the top. But we've got some really good players there. Falkirk, Falls and Harry Russell, etc. And I'm slightly surprised to see them where they are in the table. But again, Berwick will be looking for a favour from Falkirk tomorrow.
4th place Kirkcaldy at home to 6th place Lasswade. 2 very similar teams.
Forward dominated typically, and Kirkcaldy maybe punched above their weight this season a wee bit when you see where they are in the table compared to the likes of Newton Stewart and Lasswade, and they're above Falkirk as well, so they'll be looking to pick up a win tomorrow. And again, Berwick will have one eye on that one at Beveridge Park, and they'll be hoping for a home win.
And the other game is GHK in 3rd place at the moment against top of the table Gordonians. Gordonians comfortably top right now, but GHK a bit of a challenge. Now I say comfortably top, okay, they're 1 point ahead of Stumel, but they do have crucially that game in hand. They've
been the surprise package this season. They've come, I wouldn't say obscurity, but I think they finished 5th or 6th last season. And when you look at the Falkirks and the Lasswades and the Newton Stewarts, that's who I would have assumed would be at the top of the division come the start of the season, or at the start of the season, not Gordonians and Stu Mel. But Banana Skin tomorrow going down to GHK, who've been quietly going about their business in 3rd.
Well, we'll be following everything tomorrow on the programme, 2:30 to 5:30. Rugby Radio, available at rugbyradio.co.uk or, of course, at bordersrugby.net. 2:30, we shall be covering all these matches, including our commentary game, which is Kelso against Marr. Before we get Euan Welsh to look at the East League for us, we've been all saddened to learn of the passing in recent days of two Gala Life members, Laing Speirs, who was a brilliant and committed journalist keeping the records of Gala Rugby Club up to date for many, many years, and also the former Scotland captain Peter PC Brown, who was one of the great characters of the game, an amazing unorthodox player with so much talent and unlikely goal kicker as well, with the style of his own, an all-round good guy who was never afraid to voice his opinion. Well, we asked Gala Director of Rugby Euan Swinton to pay tribute to two wonderful rugby men.
Everyone at Gala Rugby Club was really deeply saddened to hear the death of Laing Speirs on the 30th of December last year. Laing was someone who was hugely well known in Gala and way beyond. As a respected journalist and author, he was a regular contributor to the Border Telegraph and other publications. He's left his mark in his writings. He had a lifelong passion for rugby, and that was evident in every aspect of his work. He was an avid Gala man, very much a Gala man, and he was someone who documented the life of Gala Rugby Club, particularly the period from 1875 to 1939 and then from 1945 onwards. He created, in effect, what is the Gala database, and a way of finding everything out about what has happened in the Gala world over a period which included some very notable success, which Laing enjoyed very much, and the less successful moments, but everything is recorded, and that is down to Laing. He was a great family man, very popular around Gala. History happens in the moment and is lived by people, but it's remembered by the writings of those who choose to take the time and effort to record the moment. And Laing's recording of the moment for such a long period of time will be his legacy at Gala Rugby Club. He will never be forgotten. He will be sadly missed, and our thoughts are very much with his family at this time. Very sadly, joining Laing in his passing this past Sunday, the 12th of January, was PC Brown. PC was known as just that. There was no need to call him by his full name. He was an absolute legend of the Gala Club, a son of Troon, born of a football goalkeeper and brother of the great Gordon Brown. PC arrived at Gala in 1969 and immediately, well, he was already a class player, but he made his mark both as a fabulous player playing for Gala, the South and Scotland, and as a member of Gala's Magnificent Seven who swept all before them in that period. PC is often best remembered by rugby supporters for the conversion of Chris Ray's try that won the Calcutta Cup in 1971, to be followed by the centenary match at Murrayfield a week later, where the team under his captaincy won by a then record score of 26-6. PC's conversion of the Twickenham try was typical of the man and his reputation. He saw the try scored, picked up the ball, popped it down opposite the try line, turned his back, wiped his nose on his sleeve, and promptly popped a goal over that wobbled all over the place, but it was only going in one direction. He ran back, basically telling everyone else to calm down and see the game out, and that was what happened. His days at the club continued as a coach, selector and committee man, and he was eventually recognised by the club, becoming a life member. Despite having retired to Dunbar, PC continued to be a regular visitor to Gala. He was always interested in the club. He was always interested in what was happening, and he was omnipresent when something important was happening. He was a man who made a lot of friends at the club and in his professional life. His passing was advised to the club by fellow Gala great John Frame. PC was not just a rugby player, he was a very well-respected finance person. He was an accountant by trade, but also was the chair of the Scottish Building Society for a long period of time. He leaves a fantastic rugby and personal legacy. His presence at Gala Rugby Club will certainly be something that we all miss when the next big occasion arrives and PC doesn't make his way up to the stand. Two greats of Gala Rugby, very different, but their contribution and their nature hugely appreciated. It's worth mentioning when we as we celebrate effectively the lives of these two great men of Gala, that we also recently lost one of our most stalwart supporters in the shape of Betty Scott. Betty was a great fan of all things Gala. She was very present and very vocal in following the boys and always being pro-Gala. She will be missed around about Netherdale, but all the more so by her family. So we also mark the passing now of Betty Scott, a great stalwart of our support.
Ewan Swinton with a tribute to PC Brown and Laing Speirs, who have sadly died in recent days. And one of my early memories of PC was kicking that conversion of Chris Ray's try in the dying moments at Twickenham to win the 1971 Calcutta Cup. I remember because my mum and dad took me. I was 10 at the time. I was behind the posts. I could see this ball that was being kicked going in all sorts of directions, but eventually dropping over the bar. A wonderful, wonderful achievement. And of course, a very historic game, because there weren't many victories after that at Twickenham. And of course, the other interesting thing is that's the one and only time that I've seen Scotland win away from home.
Yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain. That might make you one more than me from memory. Twickenham, Dublin, Cardiff. I can't recall seeing too many victories, to be honest. But yeah, that's iconic footage, that conversion, and that's quite something. Yeah, behind the goal. Incidentally, I was right in the front at the corner when Stanger scored that try in '90. So that's your version of that, and real legend of Scottish rugby. And let's not forget his assist in the run up to the try, which he converted as well. A very, very tidy basketball-esque pass.
I remember also seeing a Gala game once, and he headed the ball, popped it out, and he did that on several occasions as well. Wonderful, wonderful character. And of course, talking about me jinxing Scotland, of course, away from home. I don't go to the away games now. That's why they've had this change of form, winning at Twickenham quite regularly, and even in Paris now. But funnily enough, Laing Speirs, who we mentioned there, of course, he went through the same scenario, and he was actually told by Jim Aitken, please stay at home, and he was deadly serious as well about that. But yeah, wonderful memories of both PC Brown and of course Laing Speirs as well. Well, this is the Friday rugby preview on Rugby Radio, and so we turn our attention to matters in the East League.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the East League Roundup. With 4 exciting games on the cards, it's another busy weekend of rugby for our local teams. Starting in East League 1, and Laing are at home to Dalkeith. With the hosts in excellent form and sitting second in the table, they'll be favourites to take the points this weekend. Laing will look to keep their title challenge on track in front of a home crowd. Here's Langham's Craig Hislop with more on their preparations.
This Saturday we welcome Dalkeith to Milton, in which is our first game of 2025 and our last home game of the season, which is very strange, but that's the way the SRU have planned things out. So the remainder of the season we'll be playing away to teams in Edinburgh. So important we get a win this weekend to push on for promotion place. Squad-wise, Ben Jordan and Jay Gordon have both picked up knocks this week. Calm Henderson's back on Saturday after being out most of the season with a shoulder injury, and also Josh Duffy's back on board. Fraser Mitchell and Ronnie Martin are both unavailable. We beat Dalkeith earlier in the season up at their patch, had to work hard for a win. They're a big side, so we'll need to move them about in the big Milton pitch and hopefully get that win before we head up to Edinburgh for the rest of the season.
In East League 2, Hawick Harlequins also have home advantage as they take on Corstorphine. While the Quins are below their opponents in the league standings, they do have 3 games in hand and a real opportunity to climb the table in the coming weeks. It promises to be a tough encounter. Moving to East League 3, and Hawick Lindeen travel to face Edinburgh University Medics. The Lindeen will be favourites to come out on top in this one, as they aim to continue their push at the top end of the table. The men in blue will be looking to have a strong second half of the season, and we can now hear the thoughts of Vice President Kieran Murphy.
Quite a start to the new year. So last time we played them, it was quite a physical game. They were very athletic. They were quite quick with the ball in the hands. When they got the ball moving, they caused us a lot of problems. So we'll need to look out for that again. But we certainly kind of won the battle in our forwards the last time. The scrum was strong and it kind of created a good platform for everybody to kind of get moving on a larger pitch. But I'm not too sure what pitch will be on at Peffer Mill. So we'll just have to see and kind of adapt to what we're playing on. We're missing maybe 5 or 6, most notably Captain Tom Huggin. scrum halfway in Buglas, a couple of boys at the front row, Jordan Wood and Michael Boyle, and then we've kind of got longer term absences, Sean Gasford and Rory Hume. So we've got a few boys out, a few boys missing, but we should still have plenty in the tank, and if we play well enough, we should hopefully get the job done. Put the pressure on Anderson still with that build up to the game next week, which we'd love to go into with a win. Just to mention the gyms that have kind of kept us going over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, it's been snow on the pitch and we've not been able to train very well, but thanks to Think Fitness and the Coliseum and Hawick, we're just kind of keeping the boys active and making sure that the boys can pick up their fitness again after the Christmas break. But hopefully on Saturday that we get a victory and we can head into next week full of positives.
Finally, Eddleston host Lismore, and the Borderers will be expected to maintain their unbeaten start to the league season. Eddleston have been dominant so far, and with the home advantage they'll be confident of extending their perfect record this season. From the Eddleston camp, we can hear from head coach Cammy Hill.
So after what seems like a very long period, we were off over Christmas, and last week's game being cancelled, we welcome Lismore to the Hawk this weekend. It taken us to the last minute on the game up there at the start of the season to secure a bonus point win. Obviously they had a very big and pretty mobile pack that caused us some issues in certain aspects, and our back line on most days playing against any other defence probably would have caused bother, but our defence was on point that day, and it really helped us. Obviously huge game going in the second half of the season now, still sitting top of the league. Lundin are chasing us down. It's going to be massive how the next few weeks pan out, especially when we go to Lundin next week. Squad wise this weekend though, we had 29 available, which is great, and that's still with a few missing. Stephen Sesford, Craig Bruce unavailable due to work commitments and others, so it's really good to have a full squad to pick from and try to get as many boys game time as we can, so we can keep everybody fresh for the run in at the end of the season and obviously heading into the cup final. So here's hoping we can get another win and stay top of the table.
That rounds up this week's previews, and as always, best wishes to the Borders teams in action this weekend.
Euan Welsh with the East League roundup. Well, just before we go, Gala Star stopped fielding a rugby team several years ago, but while they don't play anymore, once a year they hold a big charity dinner, and that took place last week with Welsh international Ken Owens, who was the guest speaker. Before it all took place, I caught up with former Gala Star captain Phil Orr.
I played for the Star in the 80s. The Star last took the field in 1997 when there was a restructure of Gala Rugby. But the Star name just refuses to go away. We had a vets team in the noughties and the 2010s, and then we became too old and broken for that. So, but over that period, over the last 22 years, we've had a charity lunch where we've had a reunion of old players and go over the old stories and sing some songs. And since 2002, we're approaching £50,000 that we've raised for charity over the piece.
That's fantastic. And this dinner is, as you say, it's an annual event now, and you've got some big names who are attracted to this. Ken Owens is coming.
That's right, yes, I first met Ken's dad in 1986 when I played for Gala Seconds down at Carmarthen, and I've known Ken's family for a long time. So he's coming up to speak at what is a very small charity dinner, which is maybe a measure of the man himself.
But Gala Star, of course, back in the old days, it was very part of the Borders scene. We know St Boswell's, Walkerburn, they've gone through troubles, and Gallo IM's going through its own issues at the moment. Hopefully will return very, very soon. It's very tough, isn't it, keeping a club going? And I'd imagine, like Hawick YM, we're not going to see Gala Star coming back anytime soon, but it's important, to keep the heritage going.
Yes, very much so. I mean, Gala Star was first mentioned in the local papers in 1885, so we're almost 140 years into that name. And for my generation, it's very important for us, as a mark of respect to the former players and committee men from the Star, that we keep that name alive in whatever form it takes. And at the moment, it's our charity lunch every year at Gala Rugby Club.
Is there going to be any other opportunities to promote the name again?
Well, we've had early discussions about next year, which will be 140 years of Gala Star. So there may be some things in the pipeline, some commemorative matches perhaps.
Could we even get a Gala Star back on the pitch for a one-off?
I think we could maybe arrange that, maybe not with our 80s and 90s players, but we might have a guest team of some sort. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So what about the future then? Because I mean, now you're involved still in rugby in Gala.
Just with the Star, really. Been involved in other things in the past with the minis and so on. But we keep our lunch going. That's our name. Very keen to keep it going as far as we can.
Just before we go today, of course, the Scotland Six Nations squad has been announced, and 3 borderers among them. No surprise that Darcy Graham is there. Paddy Harrison, ex-Peebles now from Edinburgh, of course. And in the front row, just great to see the name, Rory Sutherland, 37 caps for him, now playing for Glasgow Warriors.
Yeah, great for those lads. Congratulations. To them all. We don't have many now, the days do we, though, unfortunately, when you consider that's a squad of 36 or 37, but yeah, it's a strong looking squad. Don't know what Johnny Matthews from Glasgow, what more he needs to do.
I was going to say, try scorer extraordinary. I know hookers do tend to score the tries these days from the back of the mauls, but what's happened there?
Yeah, I don't know to be honest. But Kyle Steyn out injured as well. That's a wee bit of a blow. He's a great player for me and provides real depth in the back three. But yeah, we've got world class operators now, and we can rightly look forward to this tournament of the Six Nations with the usual optimism that us Scots do. The Finn Russell, Tui Pelotu, Hugh Jones. I mean, look at that for a 10, 12, 13 combination, as good as anywhere at the moment. So, and then you've got the Grahams and the Van der Merwes and Blair Kinghorn as well. He's pulling up trees for Toulouse, no less. So there's quite the back line there, and if we can get them some ball, we can do some damage.
Looking forward to the Six Nations, of course, coming up and starting in January 31st, the first game, which I think is France-Ireland, is it?
Think so, yeah. Bring it on. Whoever it is, bring it on. Love the Six Nations.
And that's it for this edition of the Friday Rugby Preview. We're on air at 2:30 tomorrow for commentary with Dale Clancy and David Ferguson. Kelso versus Marr in the Premiership. Robin will be at the Premiership border derby between Selkirk and Melrose, looking for his 6th Selkirk win on the trot. Melrose will have something to say about that. Remember, you can listen to Rugby Radio at rugbyradio.co.uk and also from the homepage of bordersrugby.net, and also our Twitter feed at Borders Scores will bring you latest score updates. But for now, from Robin and myself, a very good night.
The Friday Rugby Preview with Stuart Cameron.